Your ears. My name is DJ Eve, the queen of the weekend of what the Wonder Woman Chichi. Welcome to a segment we call Relationship Goes with a Love Coach. Now, Pastor Simba Woloza is a founder and programs coordinator of Strong Bonds Marriage Africa and author of a book titled The Marriage Handbook and a pastor at Praise City Church. Good morning to you, Pastor.
Good morning. How are you, Eve?
I'm lovely, thank you. How are you doing?
Great.
So, right, just a quick recap from last week. You were talking about silent treatment, the difference between silence and silence treatment.
Sure. So we said kuti silence is good, nokuti uri avoid the escalation of the issue at hand. So silence is good, but only for a short period of time. Not kuti novazoenda into days, weeks. Yes. But whereas with silent treatment, you are using silence as a tool, as a weapon. And mostly it's narcissists vanosenzesa that weapon is silent treatment because they know a basic human requirement is companionship. So when you are in that space where you are lonely because someone has withdrawn themselves from you, they are actually using silent treatment as a weapon to get to you. They are also using it to make you feel at blame. Mm-hmm. You learn
guilt
to blame yourself.
Yes.
Exactly. The guilt trip you. You then learn to blame yourself for everything, for the lack of happiness in the home, in that relationship. You start blaming yourself, yet you are not the one that caused all that. So they use silent treatment as a weapon. So we're very clear last week, Eve Kuti. Silence is good, but silent treatment is not good. When you use silence, you are saying, Kuti, if I continue on this path, therefore let me be silent, for a moment, then that's good. But when you then use it as a weapon, then that's bad. Unfortunately, with the silent treatment, if it can go on for days, for weeks, for months, munakangonyarara, kungarugerwa ndebvu ataurika nanyaya kana chi, then it becomes unhealthy. It becomes unhealthy because people have different what we call conflict resolution styles.
Yes.
And that's one unhealthy conflict resolution style.
And the damage will keep running deeper.
Yes. You go on silent mode, and that's the reason why in some cases then issues the infidelity, those that creep in because we are not talking to each other. Someone will then come and will start talking to them, and before you know it, an emotional affair, an emotional entanglement starts. Saka, it's a style, sense on Nagawanda, because that's more like our default setting. If you go into our big fight, then the next thing I'm going to use silent treatment as a weapon against you. I'm not in your space, and so it's a style that most people adopt, but it's not a healthy style. There are many styles because Antone conflict resolution style yake or conflict management style yake or conflict style yake. Yokuti kana pakatika big fight, pakata conflict, this is how they handle things. So there are about 4 or 5 that I will mention. Because of time, I will not explain much. But I want you to know Tukuni and not in Hojua style. Do you know Hojua?
Yes, very slow.
A snail. Ukangoi guma, so it draws back into it goes back into its shell and it. Mm-hmm. That's what a Hojua does, a snail. That's what it does. And there are many of us who also do the same. Pakangweta small conflict in Angwa and then I go back into my shell. Does that mean that issue has been resolved or managed? No, it doesn't.
Yes.
I've just used what I'm calling a Hojua conflict management style, kind of a snail management style. And there are many people that go into that space. They take a flight. They run away from the issue. They act as if the issue doesn't exist anymore, yet it's there. It's there. They sweep it under the rug. And it's not the best. But I understand if you say I'm going to be quiet for a moment so that I cool down, because in the heat of the moment, I'll say bad words. It's good when you take it up like that. But you don't want to stay in that shell for too long. Before you know it, you've swept a lot of issues under the rug. And issues were anenganyanya kuanda because you are using the snail style. Then there's also number 2, the bulldozer style. Bulldozer and you know what? I'm going to fight.
By fire, by force.
Yes. I'm going to show you that I'm going to pour paraffin moto
to make it worse.
Yeah, so there are some people that use that style. We call it the attack or fight style as they respond to conflict. And definitely it's wrong. I always tell the couples that we mentor, the chances of you killing your partner are high compared to you killing a stranger if you don't exercise self-control, if you engage in that bulldozer style. Then there's also the other style which I call the reporter style. Conflict, I just run to whoever cares to listen. Reporter issue. It's more like gossiping your issue. You are not doing anything. You're simply telling people that they have no capacity to help. So it becomes gossip. But if you seek for counseling, you outsource for counseling, then you're doing the right thing. So there's that reporter style. Then there's also the suffering and smiling style. They're suffering and at the same time they're smiling. You've ever seen such people?
Yes.
But they want to hide that fact. For the sake of peace, they will act as if things are okay because they want peace. But deep inside, there is something that is building. The hating keeps on building. All these things, the offense keeps on building and all that. So you don't want to get into that space where you're forcing a smile, but deep inside, so we need to learn how to express ourselves so that we don't keep stuff in us. Or they then went on to commit murder because they were hiding certain things, they were suppressing certain things. Then there's my favorite here, the style, I call it the diplomat's style. Because there are issues, but they will choose to be diplomatic when it comes to addressing issues. There's no screaming that happens. You just, speak to your person in a better way, calm and all that. And that's maturity. I've got a golden rule that I work with. I always advise couples, please, when you're in the process of managing conflict here, don't scream unless there is a snake in the house.
Okay, so keep calm.
The only time we allow you to scream is when there's a snake.
When your life is in danger.
Yeah, but with my wife, Pastor Glory, I know she's listening. She screams at the sight of a caterpillar.
Why is it even there? Of course she has to scream.
But quickly, if I want to go into the how part. Tomboti, there's a big fight, the aftermath, what happens after that big fight. Because if hakuna couple isingapinde into that space where they are fighting. And pamwe pacho fighting is good because it shows you who you are, what you have to work on, things like that. So many people that are in marriage today, they'll say, they'll confirm with me, they'll agree, at some point they fought. But it's the how that we're worried about. It's not, are you going to fight or not? It's the how. I'm also speaking to those that are not yet married. You are going to fight. There's no question about that. That's certain. The eat couple and all that.
But it will come.
It will come. There will come a day where you're going to fight. But what we are worried about is the how.
How to resolve it.
Yes. We want you to fight fair. We want you to engage in a process, right? Quite a process, you then become physical and you also fight each other emotionally, you hate each other emotionally, things like that. So we teach you how to discuss issues. Fighting at each other is simply, not agreeing in terms of whether we should go to the left or to the right. That's the fighting that we're talking about. I'm also on the same page, okay? So if you don't manage that process well, it will escalate, and before you know it, the fights are now deeper, they're getting physical, and all these things. So how then do you deal with that situation after the fight, after the big fight? How do you de-escalate? How do you repair the relationship? Because relationships need to be maintained, they need to be repaired as well. Okay, but we have fought and we are not the same anymore. As we should, we are not communicating as we should as a couple. It's because our relationship needs to be repaired. So how then do you repair that relationship? How do you break the ice? How do you start talking after the big fight? Number one, if there's need for a peacemaker in that relationship,
Okay.
The Bible says in Matthew 5 verse 9, this is Jesus speaking to the disciples in a whole gathering of people that were around him. He says, blessed are the peacemakers, because they will be called sons of God. The peacemakers, those that pursue peace. So it must be in everyone. You know what? I want to be a peacemaker. So in a relationship, if we can have at least one person a peacemaker in this relationship, what is their role? Their role is to simply say, you know what? I may not be entirely to blame, but for the sake of progress, so that we can get talking again, I am sorry, Shamar. You own up for the part that you played, because it takes two to tango. In every challenge, every conflict, there is one part that you've, at least one part that you've played. And it takes a mature person to recognize, okay, this is the part that I've played in this conflict. And you apologize for that. Maybe it's how I reacted. I'm not the one akanganisa, but how I reacted. And you own up for that part. And you, by so doing, you then become the peacemaker of that relationship. And it is my prayer with every couple, having at least one peacemaker. If both of you are peacemakers, praise God, that relationship is going far. But pakashaya peacemaker, paguti zvashata, and everyone wants to pack their bags, or the two of you want to fight. There's no peacemaker. There's no mature person. Panonets. And I know kunumuna uti pastor ndino got sorry every time.
Ndaneta.
You are the mature one, and it's good. I want you to wrap a shoulder. You know what?
Oh wow.
I'm doing well. I'm the mature one in this relationship.
Okay.
It's not wakapusa. You are the mature one. So please, thumbs up to you. So number one, that's what we need. We need a peacemaker in a relationship. Okay. Then number two, let's make what we call repair attempts. Paitka problem, but let's try to come up with some things to counter whatever we're experiencing. If we are not talking, one can then propose maybe a date. One can propose, let's watch TV together. I'm watching this. Can you join me? It's a repair attempt. Or you can bring maybe flowers, a bunch of flowers. It's a message to my other person, Guti Shamar, I want us to work on this. I may not verbalize it, but what I'm doing by action, tomorrow toto or ka chocolate, kadigdiki kanga ka fredo. Oh my God, I miss those chocolates. It's just a sign to say, you know what? I'm ready for us to work on this. I still love you. Because at the end of the day, there's what we call dreams in conflict. That's what most people like. Most couples like that. When we say dreams in conflict, we are saying, Guti, despite the conflict that you're going through, there must be something bigger that you should be ready to fight for. But most couples don't have that big thing. That's why we talk to couples about formulating a vision, a big vision for their marriage. Because pakawaka conflict, you just remember the big picture that you're fighting for. And you don't then end up fighting your spouse. You then fight for the marriage, which is very important, because many people are fighting each other instead of fighting for the marriage. Those that fight for the marriage, it's because there's a bigger picture that they would have painted. There's a bigger vision. There's more to fight for. There's more, that we lose if we go separate ways, if we continue on that silent treatment. So you must have a bigger picture. So make repair attempts. And number three, let's have what we call bids of connection. If someone is making a bid of connection, don't discourage them. Accept that bid of connection. Munakakuti sorry. Akuna kuramba wakanyarara. Aisa effort kuti aite sorry. Try to talk to them. Try to to make them know that you are considering what they've said. When they make a bid to connect with you after the big fight, please respond. Give them a positive response. You must accept that bid of connection. Then number three, ask for time to talk. Apana kana kuschedule kuti okay, when you get time, can we meet after supper? Timbotaura nyaya yedu.
Meet footy.
Yes.
like that.
Yeah. And I know what, if by then the tempers would have calmed down. So it's good to schedule. Kwete ngoti pazvaitikira ipapo, ngatite ipapo. Zvazvunza nsimbi inorohwa ichapisa. In relationships, no, inorohwa yatonhora.
Because it causes more harm.
Yeah. So it's that. And then lastly, it's, apologize. When you are breaking the ice and you are trying to repair a relationship after that big fight and you're in silent mode and all that, be quick to apologize for your part, and that's maturity. In any if I know an apology when I see one, and I know what is not an apology. Ukaona apology yakho nzi sorry but wewe what is that apana apology yato cancel
sorry.
And sorry actually it must be followed up by the following. I call them these 3 A's. There's a formula to an impactful apology or the correct apology. It must involve the following A's. Number 1 A is you must acknowledge, kuti zvechokada apanda wandibata kwete kuti ndiri pachena ndingatsoona kuti message irimo ivi yabva kune munhu wako umwe yarasika mukomana kana musikana wekubasa wandakaita naye business wakutonyepa. Let's acknowledge. But I know a lot of people don't want to acknowledge because they fear. But that's the best part now, where you must show sincerity. If you don't do that, then this discussion will not happen and will remain in silent treatment and all that. So there's acknowledgement, then there's acceptance. Acceptance kungo accountable, it's accountability. You know what, this is me, this is what I've done, I'm sorry for what I've done, and you own up for your actions. Then number 3A is amend. Every good apology, it must be followed by a proposal. In order for this not to happen again, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do A, B, C, D. 8. You are making amends. So most of our apologies, they fall short. There's no sincerity, there's no acknowledgement, there's no acceptance, there's no plan whatsoever. Okay, in order for this not to happen, that's the reason why most people complain with, you know what, I always say sorry, but sorry because it's just now mere talking. There's no follow up. There's no follow through to the words. Not sorry, but there's no plan. If we've run out of time.
We have.
Remember, you can get hold of me on 0773 000 0773 000. I want your name and your marital status. Your name and marital status sent to 0773 000 via WhatsApp. And I can also add you to my singles broadcast list or my marrieds broadcast list. Remember to love God, love others, and love relationships. Pastor Simba here, I'm out.
The Love Coach, Pastor Simba, thank you so much for joining me this morning. And we were talking about how to get talking after a big fight. So listen, some of you are coming through and saying you missed some of the episodes or you came late. You can always catch up on our social media page, YouTube, that's Star FM, and you can find all these episodes there. But right now, if you take your time with me, it's midday and it's time for the news. Now.